Today is February 1st, 2023. It is a day that will live in infamy, at least for the near future. For some people, they will remember this day forever. Something happened today that changed the landscape in sports forever. One of the most elite athletes, arguably the most elite athlete this country's ever seen, made a change today that shocked emotional Twitter and the sports media. This birthing person's accolades are endless: multiple-time champion, endless all-star appearances, and all-pro honors. Arguably first ballot Hall of Famer, there's no doubt about it. The face of a generation, one of the most dominant athletes the sport has ever seen. KC, get on with it. We already know you were talking about Tom Brady announcing his retirement from the NFL. What? Tom Brady announced his retirement? Who is Tom Brady? I'm talking about Breanna Stewart leaving the Seattle Storm and signing with the New York Lesbians. KC, who in the hell is Stu Barbara? Dude, I have no clue. I thought Breanna Stewart was the newest Yenta chosen to be a co-host on The View. If you were to ask any real sports fan, what is the number one story? What is the leading story in sports today? Without a doubt, 100% of the people you asked would respond with the retirement of Tom Brady. Even though he announced his retirement last year and later went back on his word and returned to Tampa anyway, even though there is still just a little bit of speculation that Tom Brady could actually return to the NFL next season, anytime the legend of all legends announces his retirement, that is the number one story in sports media. Tom Brady should always take precedence over the irrelevant WNBA dump. Hell, Tom Brady could take a dump, and it's bigger news than anything that's happening in the WNBA. ESPN calls themselves the worldwide leader in sports. Longtime followers here on the channel know the real moniker for ESPN is the worldwide leader in woke. We were given another example of the virtue signaling wokeness at ESPN earlier this morning. I initially learned of Tom Brady's retirement while preparing the D'Amico Ryans video early this morning. I had opened up a new tab on my browser to search for something. Damn near every window of my news feed was covered with headlines from various media outlets talking about the retirement of Tom Brady. It is extremely rare. It is extremely rare for me to visit ESPN's website. I often use clips from ESPN to show you guys the filth presented on the network, but it is rare for me to read articles or use anything from ESPN.com as a source for information. Luckily, though, some cowboy on Twitter who resides on Sesame Street captured a screenshot of the front page of ESPN.com this morning. Now, I don't know the exact time Tom Brady announced his retirement. I found an article published by NPR from 8:30 Central this morning, so the news broke really early. But check out the front page of ESPN.com just 4 hours later. Former MVP Stu leaving the shitfucks for the lesbians. In the WNBA, MVP, it does not stand for most valuable player. These are dump divers, not professional athletes. In the WNBA, MVP stands for male virgin person. This means Stu was the only birthing person in the dump that practiced abstinence with the woke wiener. Now, for starters, let's just remove the retirement of Tom Brady from this equation for a minute. Look at the rest of these headlines. All of these headlines are more important than a dump diver moving cross-country to process trash at a bigger dump. Rashida picks Aina State University after Florida Neal deal fallout. I don't know Rashida, but I know she's more relevant than Stu. Man dies after Vermont middle school hoops brawl. Middle school basketball is a hell of a lot more interesting than collecting trash. At least middle school basketball is real basketball. This was not some oversight by ESPN. This was not some clerical error, some non-binary unpaid intern. They are not making the call as to what's on the front page of ESPN.com. The first 3 articles all pertain to off-season action in the WNBA. According to ESPN, the WNBA offseason is more important than the NFL. On what fucking planet is that a reality? I challenge you to find anyone who thinks the WNBA is more relevant than the National Football League. Hell, I challenge you to find anyone who can identify Stu in a two-person lineup. I'll even make it a bit challenging. I'll give you a picture of Stu along with a picture of Wallace Weiner, see if they can point Stewie out. There is a reason ESPN highlighted the WNBA as their headline story today. If you think about it for a second, the reason will come to you. What is today? Well, Casey, you've already said today is February 1st. I know. But what is today? If I asked you what day is December 25th, you'd all say Christmas. January 1st, New Year's. June 1st, get out your thongs and hairy dongs for the month-long celebration of woke Christmas. So what holiday falls on February 1st? Anyone? February 1st is a nationally celebrated holiday. Today is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. I'm a bit confused here. What is a woman? I thought the definition of a woman was currently undefined. We have justices in the Supreme Court who can't identify a woman without the assistance of a biologist. With that being the case, who are we actually celebrating today? Another angle to this, if we are celebrating women, real women in sports, how come ESPN is highlighting the WNBA? Last I checked, there was more facial hair in pretend basketball than biological women. Now, ESPN was not the only organization pandering to the shitfucks. Major League Baseball issued a statement celebrating women in sports. Because there are so many women signed to Major League Baseball teams. The NCAA sent out a celebratory tweet. Today we celebrate all 226,212 female collegiate athletes. Out of 226,000, 99% of the country can't name one of them. Leah Thomas is the most famous female athlete at the collegiate level, and he's a fucking dude. ESPN was not done with their incessant celebration of the WNBA. If I asked you guys to name the big three in basketball, what teams would come to your mind? For me personally, I would think of the original big three, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, the Celtics. Most modern NBA fans, they would think of the big three in Miami, LeBron, D-Wade, Chris Bosh. Earlier this morning, ESPN announced the reformation of the big three in New York City. Check it out for yourself. KC, who in the hell are these people? Which one is Stu, the one ESPN's making a big deal about? Hell if I know. Maybe the one in the middle? To be honest with you, they all look like they could be named Stewart to me. I'm just surprised that ESPN included two white birthing persons in this promo. Typically, ESPN shies away from promoting anything white. I thought it was strange that ESPN chose not to name any of these players in this tweet. Their assumption was you were going to automatically know who these women are. Their assumption obviously was wrong. Last week, ESPN led the first 10 minutes of SportsCenter with two stories about women's college basketball. And look, I have nothing against the girls in college basketball. I hope all of them are smart enough to get their education in a field where they can establish a career. I hate to see bright young women spend 3-4 years in college only to be drafted into the WNBA dump. They had the potential to be doctors, lawyers, nurses, psychologists, something that would make their parents proud. Instead, they end up being garbage men or garbage women, or for those who prefer gender-neutral terms, trash collectors. But anyway, I have nothing against the girls in college basketball, but ESPN is supposed to be a business. ESPN is supposed to cater their content to the average sports fan. Last week was the lead-up to Championship Sunday in the NFL. We're in the middle of the NBA regular season with the Western Conference as tightly contested as it's been in years. Sean Payton last week contemplating his next move. Several NFL teams had yet to hire a coach for next season. And you mean to tell me the leading story was women's college basketball? How many people do you think were legitimately interested in women's college basketball? How many people can name one player in women's college basketball? Instead of ESPN pandering to their core audience, sports fans, they have decided to pander to their fellow parishioners at Woke United Methodist. ESPN's all about promoting the WNBA in February. They'll put the WNBA on the front page. They'll pretend the WNBA is more important than Tom Brady. ESPN will call themselves the home of professional dump diving. But last year, the supposed home of the WNBA, the network that brags about broadcasting more dump footage than any other network, they went 5, maybe 6 consecutive weeks without broadcasting a WNBA game. This happened from late June all the way through July, the heart of the regular season. NBA finals were over. NFL preseason doesn't start until August. ESPN barely broadcasts Major League Baseball anymore. So what was so important that ESPN couldn't broadcast the WNBA for 5 consecutive weeks? They found plenty of airtime for professional cornhole. They aired the annual wiener eating contest on July 4th. During the slowest time of year in sports, ESPN chose to broadcast anything except the WNBA. Why? Because they know the WNBA doesn't draw an audience. They can pander, they can virtue signal all they want, but at the end of the day, ESPN knows the WNBA is nothing but a dump. But give me your thoughts. On the morning of Tom Brady's retirement, the leading story in sports, ESPN buries the story, choosing Breanna Stewart in the WNBA as their headline. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.